Okay. All right. Thank you everyone for coming. My name is Caddy. I'm going to be talking about autism awareness, specifically for Linux users of the Linux community. And just to give you a little preview of what we're going to talk about, I'm going to talk about my personal background and give you some information about autism processing disorder. And I'm really going to focus on high functioning autism. Previously diagnosed, and called Asperger's syndrome in 2013. And we're going to talk about adults on the spectrum, not children. I'll try to relate this to the IT industry and to the links, and then provide some resources. So just want to talk about why I decided to talk in the first place. It was the month of April when they were doing submitting proposals for the conference, and that's also Autism Awareness Month. And I guess I was just really feeling the awareness about, hey, why not propose to do a talk about it? And it got accepted. I was kind of surprised about that. So here I am. And I just want to raise more awareness about high functioning autism. I thought that I could provide a perspective of my experience, what I've been through that might be helpful to other people. And just whether we're talking about yourself or your kids or a friend or colleague or anyone, it's good to know more about helping with personal and professional development. And I'm also focusing on high functioning autism because that's where I come from. I'm not a doctor or anything like that, and so I don't want to talk about things that I don't really know about personally, and hear my experience. And I'm just here to really represent myself. I don't represent any organization or anything really with an agenda of any kind. And also, every person with autism is different. They say if you've met one person with autism, there's one person with autism. So it's just, what I have to say might not relate to the next person, or it might. So I am a self-taught Linux user, and it's really pretty interesting because Linux is kind of what led me down the path of a professional IT career in the first place. I like computers as a kid. I had a family when I was a little boy, and programming on that, I really just didn't think computers were that great and interesting because all I knew about was my mom. This was when things crashed and burned all the time, and I just used computers basically to do homework and research and email. And then I was in MBA school in 2002, and I took a class, Business Processes and Technology, and it mentioned open source technology, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting, and I checked it out, and I just immediately fell in love with Linux and open source, and I was amazed to see how you can just take an old piece of Linux on it and have it, and I just that kind of got the ball rolling and started learning whatever I could about it, dove into it, and one thing sort of led to another. I did a lot of Linux servers and ended up working for a company that does point of sale. They were with Windows file servers and things like that, firewalls, and I did a lot of Samba servers and other kinds of servers, and I did some web development too, and that kind of led to nuclear web development, and I was a web developer at the university for about 4 or 5 years, which over to working on the system, what I do today. Enterprise resources, basically like a really complicated piece of software that runs almost every aspect of your business. So I still work in higher ed. It runs on the. I still use Linux. Job now, and I was diagnosed with high functioning autism through processing as an adult. It really came as a surprise at the time. I always knew that I was different and that I didn't fit in very well. I always had trouble communicating, but I sort of kind of stopped paying attention to being out of school and didn't really notice it that much. And what happened is we had a house fire. Kind of lost all my possessions, and I don't want to say that people with autism are greedy, because they're not, but they sort of base their reality on physical objects and routine and familiarity. You lose everything that you're familiar with, and just everything part of your daily aspect of life just really threw me off a lot. that was about 4 months of being out of our house. After it all finally settled, started to think that maybe maybe into this. And so I read this book, and it started describing me to a T, just a T about maybe a person, it wasn't as unique as I thought. And I remember reading about how this guy was describing the way he lives, and it's just the way I try to maximize the dishes and try to get everything in there, loading in there, and like with my wife, she'll just toss stuff in, get it washed, and I could probably fit like everything we have in the dishwasher to where there's nothing left to eat off, run it, and that was just one little thing describing me. It was just really weird to learn about this stuff. And so I sort of did self-diagnosis first. You got a professional doctor. It actually turned out we got my son diagnosed. Got me diagnosed. Noticed traits in him as well. But after I finally figured this out, it was it was a little bit of ignorance, not knowing life. You don't know you have autism. Maybe you think you're a little more normal than you are, but it really was pretty tough not knowing. And after getting this diagnosis, I finally had a reason why maybe I didn't fit in, or things like I don't like the tags on the back of my shirt right here, or I just go and sit at my desk and work nonstop, a bunch of chit chat, and or the way I always didn't do so well with the English and the verbal, or the reason why my handwriting is so poor, and why I hate and like hurts, or just the reason why I was drawn to IT to begin with, or the reason why I don't have a need for much socializing compared to my wife or other, and just the reasons why I've had trouble communicating, and really the reason why I am the way I am. So also, I just I have two kids. My older son, 5 years old, is diagnosed with autism, sensory processing disorder, and I have a daughter who's processing disorder. So just if you don't know, autism is a short way of saying autism disorder, and autism is a pervasive developmental disorder which affects social communication skills and to a greater or lesser degree motor language skills. And we can just sort of developmental, because that's what we're talking about, kids and development, and really what we're talking about is just social and communication skills, particularly. And autism, it's a big topic, and obviously I can't a big topic in an hour. So I'm really focused on high functioning autism, adult IT community. And also, I guess I should know what neurotypical means. Typical means that we use to describe people who don't have autism. Neurotypical is exactly what it is. Neurology, and it's just going to kind of come up and kind of contrast one versus the other. And then let me tell you about processing disorder. It's kind of tough to find a good definition on this one, but it's basically a problem including sensory appropriate response. And you have over stimulation or under stimulation, like maybe you just don't notice what's going on around you, or maybe you tune them out to save your life. And all right, I apologize for the last To be honest with you, that I didn't do this in an open office. I just converted it. But the symptoms I gave here, some ideas, some common symptoms you can see in the workplace. So, trouble with fluorescent lights. That's a big one. It's hard to tune that out. And maybe you might prefer, just a lamp or maybe some natural light. Difficulty tuning up. Maybe the person who wears headphones at work, or just might have trouble just tuning out all the noise going on in the office. Or if you're having a conversation with one person, you might have a problem tuning out all the noises so you can hear what the things. They might have trouble sitting motions. So maybe like tap your foot while you're working, like repeatedly, not just like occasionally, but pretty thoroughly, or rocking back and forth in your chair, spinning around in it a little bit. And SPD has been likened to a neurological traffic jam. It's it's a hard time getting input. And if you have one sense that's off, then it kind of throws everything off. So just the fact that you can't tune out all the noise might be more difficult. And one thing I've always thought about processing disorder is the story of Princess P. The princess who felt the little 9 or 10 mattresses. I always thought that she must have sensory processing. That's the only way she could feel that. But basically, it's a lot of where your nervous system is trying to put you in fight or flight mode, like way too often, in situations where it really shouldn't be that way. And it can create a lot of anxiety in your life, having between the two of these, communicating with people, feeling like you don't fit in, with the sensory input that you're. And so, just a couple of examples from my life. Go out in sunlight in the middle of the day without my sunglasses, my eyes immediately start watering, just because I have trouble modulating, and I just get too much input and I can't tune it out, or things might be too loud, things that other people can tune, like the fire alarm, really I have to cover my ears. It's so intense, and like the sense of itchiness. I always feel a sense of itchiness in my pinkies and my pinky toes, like all the time. And it's just something that's really hard to do. And this is really the line of facts. This one is really going to be my story, but I just wanted to go ahead and talk about the autism prevalence. And I'm sure we've all heard about the autism rates are going up, and maybe you've heard things like it's a crisis or something like that. But I really just think that we're just getting better at diagnosing it. And for example, the rates in children are higher than with the population as a whole, because adults grew up at an earlier time and they weren't diagnosed back then. And I really think that it's something that's part of humanity. Probably, obviously it's got to be more common than the diagnosis rate, because there's people who aren't diagnosed. But there's probably a good chance that there's people in this community who may not either have been diagnosed, or maybe they haven't disclosed it, but it could be you or somebody you come across. And there's people who argue that it's always been part of humanity. People like John L. Robertson, Typical Brandon, will tell you that the person that invented the wheel was the person who invented fire wasn't. I don't really know if that's the case, but I definitely think that it's always been a part of humanity. There's always been people who kind of fall in this category, think differently. And when I did first diagnose, I kind of had a hard time with depression a little bit. My wife tried to give me a list of famous to cheer me up, and that includes people like Amadeus Mozart, Nikola Tesla. Basically, lots of great minds, that autism too. And then this just kind of gets back to what I'm talking about today with you guys, is that Linux does appeal to someone with autism, and there's a little space here, sort of between the top 2 points and the rest of them. The ones on the bottom are really more IT generic. This isn't necessarily about information technology. So things that rational. People with autism have a strong desire to understand systems, complex systems. That's called the hyper-systemized theory of autism. And obviously, information technology systems you want to take an interest in. Computers take things literally. It's really much more relaxing or beneficial to work with computers versus human beings who are unpredictable, don't act the same way, same set of input like a computer would. And a computer is predictable and controllable. But really, to bring this to the Linux community, it's more about black and white thinking and the sense of fairness. So black and white thinking, it's either black or white. No shades of gray. One or the other, and imagine it anywhere between. Most people don't think in black and white. They see things as gray, and it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But people on the spectrum, usually one or the other. And I kind of felt like the GPL and just the whole idea of open source is, there's a lot of black and white things where it's either open source or it's closed source, and you're releasing it and it's free to distribute, or it's not. And we kind of we want it to be open source, right? And there's also awareness of right and wrong. The three mantra about open source, but just that it's the right thing to do to contribute software and make it freely available. There's a sense of morality there, and the sense of right and wrong really plays a lot into people with autism. There's it's just like a foundational way that you think that it's just not fair, or it shouldn't be that way, and it's kind of the way we see the world a lot. All right, and I just wanted to talk about some unique skills that I don't know. I'm glad I mentioned that I did this in the office, because now you can't even read the last bullet point. But it says different. So people with autism bring an intense focus. They really work in the flow state or in the zone. I think a lot easier than most people do. Just get right in the zone, tune out other things, and just basically work until it's time to leave. We might work past the time to sleep. And I even noticed like it's time to leave or that it's time for lunch. We might skip meals because we're so focused on what we're doing. We have attention to detail. It's just maybe we're more likely that one little detail that's off versus someone else. And just we're always going to be all these details. That's the way we see the world. We have an understanding of words comes, like I said about that. Well, the theory that people with autism like complex, and we think rationally. Computers work rationally, and we have a different perspective. A different perspective is important. It can really help problem-solving skills. Kind of help prevent things, and just everyone else might along with whatever the boss said. We might not even know better that you're supposed to go along with what the boss said, and just interject our own idea. It could be a great idea. Seeing lots of hiring initiative. The IT industry and hire people on the spectrum. They say that not only are we development or testing, but we provide more innovation. We just have extraordinary ability memorizing and concentrating. And while someone with a spectrum disorder might bring good characteristics to the job, they might also have other characteristics that create friction with their coworkers. So I just want to some of this too, because this might be something you've seen in your workplace. This might be the person who comes across standoffish or distant, and they might not do well with office politics. An example given is the professor who has high-functioning autism, teaching at a university, and they're doing all the research they can and working as hard as they can to get tenure based on merit, but they're not really greasing the wheels and communicating with the decision makers and making sure that they like them personally, because that's really going to get you tenure. They might not participate in small talk before or after work. I'm definitely guilty of this. I basically come in and work until it's time to go. It's actually easier for me to participate in small talk. That small talk is work. Work is like comes naturally. But obviously that's the opposite way it is for most people. Most people would just stay in small talk all day long and avoid having to work. They enjoy small talk. It's a good way for them to pass the time. And someone might speak too loudly, or they might speak too closely, and they might break some other unwritten social rules. And other examples are the person who forgets your name, or someone who derails a meeting. And, I've been guilty of this myself. I remember someone new took over the information technology where I worked, and obviously he had to learn a lot about how things work there. We had lots of meetings. And he'd always start off saying, like, now correct me if I'm wrong, and blah, 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 blah. And of course, taking things literally, I would correct him, and, learn the hard way. He doesn't really want to be corrected every time. He's technically wrong. And, or, if I'm in a meeting and I say something and everyone else gasps, suddenly, what I said, the response is usually that I said something that, everyone else isn't even if they're thinking it. And, this is maybe the person who comes across as a know-it-all, or maybe is a little arrogant, and they just don't follow them. They don't really necessarily want to come across this way. It's just kind of who they are, being who they are, and they don't really realize that they're breaking all these rules because they don't come naturally to them. They don't know they exist. And this also might be the person who speaks the same way to a boss they do to a coworker versus, like, my boss didn't want to hear every time he was wrong in the meeting. Technically, that kind of example. So just some ways to kind of reach out to these people, and again, in that last word is possible. Just to try to include them in your conversations, and, just because they might have come across like they don't want to be a part of the conversation. That might not be the case, and don't be offended by one word answer, or it might not be the most fluent, eloquent conversation, but still try to include them, or invite them to lunch or coffee for drinks after work, and even if they don't want to go because they're really not that comfortable in such a situation, I'm sure that people appreciate being invited. And this goes the same for who's even shy. It's just a nice thing to do for your coworkers. It'll help them better. And just forgive the social faux pas when possible. Maybe they weren't trying to be as offensive as they possibly could. Maybe they didn't realize it, and you don't need to hold a grudge against something that happened, to offend you. If you can let it go, it's not really a clearance just for someone to be a jerk all the time, but maybe there's just something that happened, and it's not really a big deal. Seeing it under this different perspective, maybe it doesn't offend you as much. And just to have patience. And just the flip side of this, for someone on the spectrum, there's obviously things you can do to try to reach out as well. And one thing I've found that helps is to be technically helpful. And we might not excel in the communication, the small talk, but we do pretty much figure out the key systems really well. We might know them than our coworkers. And, just make people feel comfortable when they come to you for advice. One thing I realized is that coming across this way is that people don't really want to ask me questions unless they have to. Especially if I came across as arrogant or as a know-it-all, if they're coming to me with a question, I can just consider that that was a big step for them to make, and try to be helpful and nice about it, and kind of create a relationship for yourself, being someone who at least is helpful technically. That builds friendships and relationships in the office, and kind of helps when you need something, that you've helped someone else out, and that might make it so that social faux pas, because you really are a nice person. Some more autism traits that you might see in the workplace. Deal with communication. Obviously, communication is an issue with people with autism, and particularly, we're not talking about understand vocabulary, words, grammar, spelling. We're talking about complex language like figurative language, comprehension, and inference, and nonverbal communication. And nonverbal communication is 93% of all communication. They say that 55% facial expressions and 38% tone of your voice, and things like that. And so only 7% of the literal words said. That's usually literally, is what people with autism get. Is the literal words, and they miss the other 93%. And it kind of works the other way. They might not be aware of the nonverbal they're giving off. So they might say one thing, but look a different way, and they're not aware of how they look. It's all about what they said. And another common issue with this is the person who did really well in the technical discussion, they got promoted to be a manager, and they're not working with technical systems anymore. They're working with people and problems, communication, and suddenly someone who did really well in their job, isn't performing as well in this new position. And that's just a common scenario that you see when you kind of try to educate yourself about autism. And some solutions that we can provide here is talk literally, instead of using metaphors or don't be around the bush, just come out and say it. And that's, people with autism have a hard time reading between the lines. So it can be helpful, just spell out your expectations and make it clear. You don't expect them to get it because they might not, especially when it's a nonverbal kind of communication thing or something that's not technical. Written communication is great, email, and messaging, what have you. And not only does it help, because you can kind of think out your thoughts in the message, but you can reread it after it's sent, so that whatever communication you had, reread it and avoid miscommunication. And this last one is helped by privately spelling out the social rules. So this is just kind of something that you're in a mentor position or a boss or supervisor, but you can just sort of be like, I know you were doing this when you did this, but really it came across or feel is this. And I had a boss who wants to tell me that it's not how you fix the problem, it's how you make people feel when you fix the problem. And it's true. It's that's what people remember is how they felt. Care that you fixed it quickly if you were a jerk about it. They'll remember that you were a jerk about it, not that you did your job the way you're supposed to. So it's the important thing to think about. It's the important thing to get feedback about. Maybe you don't realize how you made the person feel when you fix their problem, and that's the kind of thing where a peer or a mentor or a boss can kind of step in and sort of tell them what everyone else seems to know because they were born with that knowledge, and the person with autism will understand it. And another thing, this former boss of mine would tell me, someone asks me what time it is, and I tell them how the clock works. And that's another issue with communication is that sometimes you just get the brain dump from the person with autism. They tell you way too much information about a topic, especially if it's one that you're interested in. And so just hey man, just tell me what time it is. You might need that feedback. So at this point, this is maybe related to a couple items here that I've talked about. So I'm going to kind of listen to these broad traits, kind of ask a yes or no question. I'll do some answering yes. You have some resources that I'll go over at the end, and you can always look online about this and kind of start the self-diagnosis process. Take some quizzes. If you really feel like there's something there, obviously go to a doctor and get a real diagnosis. As far as eye contact, you find anything uncomfortable. I find eye contact uncomfortable. I sort of force myself to do it because I know you're supposed to do it. In my own element, I'll just look at the pattern on the carpet on the floor or something like that. That's the kind of thing I want to look at while I'm thinking or communicating. Do you find yourself getting upset when your routine is people with autism really stick to rigid routines, and it's not just about the big stuff; it's about the little stuff. So maybe if you didn't get to have breakfast the way you do in the morning, that throw off your day, to have a ripple effect for the rest of the day. If something is off in the morning, does it just ruin everything else for you for that day? But the repetitive motion you find yourself walking repetitively or tapping your foot repetitively, particularly like if you're under stress, feeling some anxiety, come out more. And what that really is stimming. It's a way to relax. People with sensory processing, they do this because they're getting sensory input that's uncomfortable, and maybe like tapping your foot like that sort of helps block it out, or maybe something else to feel sensory-wise. And it's just it's a coping mechanism. Or do you have sensory expectation violation? This is a little less obvious, but it's basically being thrown by something when it doesn't go the way you expect it to. And it could be something very small. And really what this is about is you're really more upset more about what you should be. And if you look at it rationally, I shouldn't be this upset at this tiny little thing, but I am because I expected it to be some way, and it wasn't that. And sensory issues, they're a big topic, obviously, but there's all kinds of sensory issues you could have. It could be the tag in your clothing, the bright light, the fluorescent light, the poor handwriting, with fine motor skills, or I never knew this until I learned about it, but the fact that, I don't really swing that much, but I did as a kid, and I do a little bit more now that I have kids of my own. Sometimes I just find myself at the playground and I can swing. They don't need me at the moment, but most people, they swing for very long, I don't get dizzy. I don't know how long I swing, and that's another sort of sign that maybe your sensory or your nervous system isn't wired the way as everyone else, the same way as everyone else is. And I would recommend reading Child. This isn't on the camera. See what the book looks like, and I know it does say child is the topic for adults, but you're not going to find it. And basically, the autistic adult, if they don't deal with this stuff in childhood, and it's a really interesting book. It's a little sad to read because a lot of the times they'll say, "Now you want to make sure you deal with this with your child, because if you don't, they're going to have a hard time in life." And you're like, "Oh, that's me. I had a hard time in life because I didn't get this when I was a kid." But otherwise, it's really eye-opening. It does a good job of explaining a lot of the sensory issues. There's sort of like a dichotomy. So maybe you're a sensory seeker or a sensory avoider, and it's going to explain both of those. And then food aversions. This really is an offshoot of sensory issues. You have like a really strict menu of things that will you avoid certain foods solely on smell and texture. And for me, I don't like the texture of mushy things. I don't want to eat yogurt or pumpkin pie. And just to get onto some resources here, we'll start with organizations. And you can find plenty of stuff online. Oh wait, before I say that, there is no cure for autism, so you're not going to find that as but there are lots of little things you can do. You just need to have a willingness to sort of learn and change. You want things to stay the same way. You don't have to learn anything new about yourself or do any self-improvement or self-discovery. Then you're going to have a hard time finding resources. But I want to start with the Autism Society. They have chapters in your state. In North Carolina, there's for the counties too. They're very helpful. The Autistic Self-Advocacy Network, I really like that. Self-advocacy, so it's for autistic people to advocate for themselves. And all these slides are too, and these are linked to URLs, so you'll be able to find all this stuff. But the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network is run by people on the spectrum, and it's their slogan is "Nothing about us, nothing without us." And local organizations, I know this is the Southeast Linux Fest, so I'm not really sure what's available in all the other states in North Carolina, but it's a huge, wonderful organization in North Carolina, and a lot of people I know on the spectrum know diagnosed from their local office. They have lots of resources for getting you in the workplace, kind of helping out with adults. And you are going to have a hard time finding resources for adults. You'll find that everything is targeted at children, and it just sort of falls off the cliff once they turn 18. And just one more thing, watch out for the negative things out there. It's really find people focusing on the negative and talking about how bad this is, and that's really not going to other than like maybe the event. But you really want to look for things that are more positive and things that have something to offer in terms of better quality of life. And just there's a lot out there. There's a lot out there. You can find anything. So a lot of these things, these resources just sort of focus on taking good care of yourself. And eating healthy, eliminating junk food, processed food, artificial colors. Artificial colors are actually you can actually find people, occupational therapists and other professionals recommending that you cut these out. They do affect your nervous system in the way it responds. The junk food and the processed food, there's so many chemical stuff out there. Who knows to your nervous system? But if you just sort of simplify, you're like you probably should anyway. You might get some benefit from that. Omega-3 fats are up there because your brain is the fattest organ in your body, and like fish oil, wheat oil, or other forms of omega-3 is just going to help your brain function better. And when you have a sensory processing disorder, that's your brain and your nervous system, they go hand in hand. So anything you can do to help that out, it's going to help you out. And then the thing called a sensory diet, and this is kind of where I have these. Maybe you've been looking at these. Maybe you've been wanting to play with the whole presentation, but they're kind of involved in the diet. So we have some essential oils. If you don't smell these or check these out after the presentation, that's fine. And things for vision. Like this little thing. It's just really relaxing to look at. This is something you can have on your desk at work, and you can just, if you need to take a break, just, check it out. And there's something about that that's really visually relaxing. A lot of times it's easy to get stimulated with the visual stuff. And sunglasses, and the sun help colored lenses. Something I've seen Brandon write about. It's more for school, but maybe you can't focus on the whiteboard, whatever reason, but on yellow tinted glasses you can. So just check it out and see if it can work for you. We have the backup touch, and like this. It's just fun to fidget with. These are called fidget toys, and you can just sort of, you can do this at your desk too and just sort of play with it while you're trying to concentrate and think about something or relax yourself or whatever it is that's going on. And then I have motion-based approach. We all know about senses, but there's more senses than just 5 senses that you're trying to experience. So the two I'm talking about here are vestibular and proprioceptive. So vestibular sense of motion or in a ear, and things that can help out with that are a swing set or a hammock or a rocking chair or hanging upside down. Actually, hanging upside down while you're sitting down, the most intense vestibular input you can get if you really want to just go for the most intense one you got out there. And then proprioceptive is that's the feeling of pressure between your joints. And like carrying weight around or help out, or rock climbing, which is something that I do. That's part of my sensory diet. Or jumping on a trampoline or bounce house. And then there's things that kind of combine both, like swimming or bike riding or horseback riding. And I try to do bike riding on the trail. That. And I do some swimming in the summertime. That is nice. So finally, just want to end with some books here. Obviously, I've already mentioned the Autism Child, and read it anyway, even though you're an adult. I definitely recommend it, and just try to. Some of the advice you can take straight out, even though it's for kids, so you kind of have to sort of make it a little more grown up. So it doesn't apply. And then I have a look in the eye and thinking in pictures that you can't see. That's by Temple Grandin. That's I like these books. These are by people from a generation older than mine, and they didn't grow up in resources for autism either. And they found out late. They have pretty good attitudes. Well accomplished people. John Elder Robinson, he's the guy who made Guitar Catch on Fire. 70s, and he's had an interesting life, just an interesting biography, and now he runs a really successful auto repair business for like Rolls Royce and other really fancy obscure cars, and Temple Grandin, she develops humane livestock systems for like the cattle industry and things like that. But she has a really interesting take on life too, and also a positive attitude. Just like I kind of said before, just focus on the things that can improve your quality of life and avoid things that just dwell on the negative. I have the Journal of Best Practices, which is really called the Journal of Best Practices, a memoir of marriage, marriage and one man's quest for her husband. And but that wouldn't on the slide. This is the book that I read after the fire that described the dishwasher, and this is kind of the thing that really opened up my eyes and kind of got the ball rolling for me. And it's just really interesting. Like the husband and the father. It's probably going to relate more to you. And then I also had on there, you can't see this, just books about communication. Communication is something you think about for the rest of your life, probably. And right now I'm reading Dummies. Pretty simple there. Anything's going to be helpful, and it's probably the kind of thing to reread that again in a year or two, get all the advice. It's just the kind of thing that everything deal with communication. And I just want to end with this Serenity prayer you prayed before. I'm not really a religious person, but I've always liked this, and I kind of feel like it applies. Having autism, you cannot change. But there's little things you can change if you understand it, understand wisdom, and willing to make a change and mature. And so I just wanted to end with that. And I want to appreciate everyone for your time. I hope I'm able to kind of educate you perspective a little bit, things maybe you've noticed in the first place. And if you have any questions, you can talk to me. So thank you, everyone. This was not as good as talk. This is my stuff. I have to bring it back to one of
The dishwasher thing, especially.
Yeah.
Your customers rely on your website or application. If it's slow or non-responsive, it infuriates your users and costs you money. Keeping your business-critical systems humming along requires insight into what they're doing. Your system metrics tell stories that can reveal performance bottlenecks, resource limitations, and other problems. But how do you keep an eye on all of your system's performance metrics in real time and record this data for later analysis? Enter Longview, the new way to see what's really going on under the hood. The Longview dashboard lets you visualize the status of all your systems, providing you with a bird's eye view of your entire fleet. You can sort by CPU, memory, swap, processes load, and network usage. Click a specific system to access its individual dashboard, then click and drag to zoom in on choke points and get more detail. Comprehensive network data, including inbound and outbound traffic, is available on the Network tab, and disk writes and free space on the Disks tab, while the Process Explorer displays usage statistics for individual processes. The System Info tab shows listening services, active connections, and available updates. Adding Longview to a system is easy. Just click the button, copy the one-line installation command, then run the command on your Linux system to complete the process. The agent will begin collecting data and sending it to Longview. Then the graphs start rolling. Use Longview to gain visibility into your servers, so when your website or app heats up, it stays up.
Citrix Zen Server gives you everything you need to integrate, manage, and automate a virtual data center, all on an enterprise-class, cloud-proven virtual platform, and at a third of the cost of other solutions. But why even bother with virtualizing your server infrastructure in the first place? Let's say you have a traditional one-server-to-one application architecture, but you're running out of resources and performance is suffering. Once you order new server hardware, you'll wait for delivery, configure it, install your business application, stage and test the server, and finally add it to your production flow. If you've been through this process before, you know it can take weeks or even months. You also know it's a manually intensive process that will burden your team every time you outgrow your current setup. With a virtual server solution, you can accomplish all of that in less than half a day. Server virtualization software separates the OS and application from the underlying server hardware. And with multiple virtual machines on a single server, you can use each of them to run different OSs and applications. This makes it possible to move your virtual machines from one piece of hardware to another whenever you want, to maximize utilization, simplify maintenance, or recover from hardware, and without slowing down your applications or users. Clearly, server virtualization provides big benefits, and Citrix Zen Server provides even more. Since it's built on an open platform, Zen Server plays well with your existing hardware, storage systems, and IT management software, as well as with the industry's leading cloud service providers. Best of all, you can get started by downloading a fully functional, production-ready version of Zen Server for free. After a 10-minute installation process, you'll see how easy it is to start virtualizing your workloads and automating your IT management processes. And when you're ready for a richer set of management tools, premium editions of Zen Server. So whether you're interested in virtualizing servers for the first time, expanding your virtualization, or moving server workloads to the cloud, download and install Zen Server today and see how it can help you simplify your IT environment. Citrix Zen Server. Do more. Don't spend more.
I'd probably like you to. Small way, but Yeah, no,
Yeah,
they're good for you. They're good for you know, that's where more really, diagnosis. I thought this